What's up, Wrestlingverse family? Welcome back to the channel, and oh my god, do we have some insane news for you today. If you haven't heard about what went down backstage at the latest WWE event, you are in for an absolute shock. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and smash that notification bell because this story is absolutely wild. Today, we're breaking down one of the most intense, most brutal, and most talked about backstage confrontations in recent WWE history. Brock Lesnar and Bronson Reed finally came face to face, and let me tell you, it did not disappoint. The Beast incarnate absolutely destroyed the Colossal One in an epic encounter that has the entire wrestling world buzzing. So grab your seats, Wrestlingverse family, because we're about to take you through every single detail of this legendary moment. Let's dive in. Before we get into the chaos that unfolded, let me set the scene for you. This confrontation didn't just happen out of nowhere. There's been weeks, maybe even months, of tension building between these two absolute monsters. Bronson Reed has been on an incredible tear through the WWE roster. The man has been unstoppable, delivering tsunamis left and right, stacking bodies like it's nobody's business. Reed has made it crystal clear that he's here to dominate, to destroy, and to prove that he's the most dangerous big man in all of professional wrestling. But here's where things got spicy. Wrestlingverse family. In recent interviews and social media posts, Bronson Reed started making some bold statements. He started calling out legends. He started saying that the old guard needed to step aside. And most importantly, he started dropping hints about wanting to face the biggest challenge possible. Then came the promo that changed everything. Just 2 weeks ago on Raw, Bronson Reed grabbed a microphone after destroying two local competitors in a handicap match. The crowd was booing him, chanting for someone to stop his reign of terror, and Reed just smiled. He said, and I'm paraphrasing here, that there's nobody in WWE who can stop him. Not the current roster, not the legends, nobody. He specifically mentioned that he's heard all the stories about Brock Lesnar, about the Beast incarnate, about the Conqueror, but that he wasn't impressed. Reed claimed that Lesnar was from a different era, that modern monsters like himself are bigger, badder, and more dangerous than anything Lesnar ever faced. Can you believe the audacity? The man was basically painting a target on his back, and everyone knew it was only a matter of time before something explosive happened. Word started spreading backstage that Brock Lesnar had heard Reed's comments. Now, we all know Brock doesn't show up to WWE every week. He's a special attraction, someone who appears when it matters most. But according to sources close to the situation, Lesnar made it very clear to management that he wanted to be at the next event, and he wanted to have a conversation with Bronson Reed. The wrestling world was on edge. Social media exploded with speculation. Was Lesnar going to confront Reed on camera? Would this lead to a match? Was WWE about to give us the monster collision we've been dreaming about? Nobody knew for sure, but everyone was watching closely. Fast forward to this past event, Wrestlingverse family, and this is where things get absolutely crazy. According to multiple eyewitness reports from people who were backstage, and some footage that made its way to social media before WWE could contain it, here's what went down. Bronson Reed was in the gorilla position, the area right behind the curtain where wrestlers wait before going out for their matches. He had just finished warming up and was talking with some producers about his match later that night. By all accounts, Reed was relaxed, confident, maybe even a little cocky. Then, out of nowhere, Brock Lesnar appeared. And when I say appeared, I mean he came out of nowhere like a freight train. The Beast incarnate walked up to Bronson Reed with that intensity we've all seen throughout his legendary career. His eyes were locked on Reed, and everyone backstage immediately knew something was about to go down. Witnesses say you could hear a pin drop. The entire backstage area went silent. Producers, wrestlers, crew members, everyone stopped what they were doing because they could feel the tension in the air. This wasn't a worked segment for television. This was real heat, real intensity, two alpha males about to collide. Lesnar reportedly got right in Reed's face and asked him if he had something to say. Reed, to his credit, didn't back down. The Colossal One stood his ground and told Lesnar that he meant every word he said. He told Lesnar that his time had passed and that this was the era of Bronson Reed. That's when things escalated quickly. According to witnesses, Lesnar just smiled. Not a friendly smile, but that predatory grin that we've seen before huge matches. That smile that says someone's about to get hurt. And then, in an instant, the beast incarnate exploded. Lesnar grabbed Bronson Reed and launched him backward into a stack of equipment cases. The sound echoed through the entire backstage area. Reed, all 300 plus pounds of him, flew through the air like he weighed nothing. This wasn't choreographed. This wasn't planned for cameras. This was Brock Lesnar showing exactly why he's called the Beast Incarnate. But it didn't stop there. Wrestling vs. Family. Reed, tough as nails, tried to get back up and fight back. He charged at Lesnar, attempting to use his size and momentum to take the fight to the former UFC heavyweight champion. Big mistake. Lesnar, with his elite-level amateur wrestling background and years of combat sports experience, caught Reed's charge and countered with a devastating belly-to-belly suplex right there on the concrete floor. The impact was brutal. People backstage said you could feel the floor shake from the impact. Multiple wrestlers and crew members immediately tried to separate the two monsters, but it was like trying to stop a natural disaster. Lesnar had that look in his eyes, that switch had been flipped, and he was in full beast mode. Security rushed in, producers were shouting, and chaos absolutely erupted backstage. At one point, it took approximately 8 to 10 people to hold Brock Lesnar back. 8 to 10 grown men, some of them wrestlers themselves, struggling to contain one man. That's the level of intensity and power we're talking about here. Bronson Reed, meanwhile, was being checked on by medical staff. According to reports, he was busted open above his eye, possibly from hitting the equipment cases or from the suplex on the concrete. The Colossal One was furious, screaming that he wanted to continue the fight, but officials were holding him back as well. The entire backstage area was in pandemonium. Wrestlers were coming out of locker rooms to see what was happening. Legends who were backstage for various reasons were witnessing this epic confrontation. Everyone was talking about what they had just seen. Triple H himself had to come out and personally intervene. The chief content officer stood between the two monsters and made it clear that this needed to stop now. But even the game had to acknowledge the intensity of what had just occurred. Here's where this story gets even more interesting: wrestling vs. family. Remember, this all happened backstage, away from the main cameras. WWE wasn't planning to show this on television. But in today's age of social media and smartphones, some footage leaked almost immediately. Short clips started appearing on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok showing parts of the confrontation. Fans couldn't believe what they were seeing. The hashtag about Lesnar and Reed started trending worldwide within minutes. The wrestling world was absolutely losing its mind. WWE's social media team quickly went into damage control mode, but the cat was already out of the bag. Everyone had seen enough to know that something massive had happened. The buzz was real, the excitement was palpable, and fans were demanding to know what would happen next. Now, let's talk about the aftermath of this epic confrontation and what it means for both superstars moving forward. Bronson Reed, despite being on the losing end of this backstage encounter, actually came out looking stronger in some ways. Why? Because he didn't back down from Brock Lesnar. He stood face to face with arguably the most dangerous man in WWE history and didn't show fear. That takes serious guts, and the WWE universe has to respect that. Plus, getting destroyed by Brock Lesnar is nothing to be ashamed of. This is a man who's conquered UFC, dominated WWE for 2 decades, and beaten literally every major star in the business. If anything, Reed can wear this confrontation as a badge of honor. He got Brock Lesnar's attention, and in professional wrestling, that's worth more than gold. For Brock Lesnar, this confrontation reminded everyone why he's still the guy when it comes to pure intimidation and physical dominance. At his age and with everything he's accomplished, Lesnar showed that he's still got that fire, that intensity, that beast mentality that has made him a legend. The manner in which Lesnar handled Reed, tossing him around like a ragdoll despite Reed's massive size, was a statement to everyone in WWE. It said loud and clear, "I'm still the alpha predator in this jungle. Don't test me unless you're ready to face the consequences." So what happens now? Well, wrestling vs. family, this is where things get really exciting. WWE management, specifically Triple H, now has to figure out how to handle this situation. You can't just ignore what happened. The whole world knows about it. The fans are demanding action. According to Backstage sources, there's been serious discussion about turning this into an official program between Lesnar and Reed. The organic heat is there, the interest is through the roof, and both men are clearly willing to work together in what could be an absolute slobberknocker of a match. Can you imagine Brock Lesnar versus Bronson Reed at a premium live event? Maybe at Survivor Series or even held off until Royal Rumble. The hype would be insane. It would be a true clash of titans, old school dominance versus new school destruction, the beast incarnate versus the colossal one. There's also talk about how WWE could play this on television. Do they acknowledge what happened backstage? Do they show some of the footage that leaked? Do they have Reed come out demanding a match with Lesnar to avenge what happened? Or does Lesnar come out to finish what he started? The storytelling possibilities are endless, and with Triple H at the creative helm, you know whatever direction they choose is going to be compelling. The game knows how to build tension, how to craft compelling narratives, and how to give fans what they want to see. Some insiders have suggested that WWE might use this confrontation to set up a much longer program between the two. Maybe Reed gets a measure of revenge in the coming weeks. Maybe Lesnar continues to dominate Reed in subsequent encounters, building to a big match where Reed finally gets his shot at redemption. There's even speculation about involving other wrestlers in this storyline. Could this lead to a triple threat situation at a major event? Could other monsters on the roster get involved, creating a whole faction warfare scenario? The possibilities are truly exciting to think about. Let's also address the elephant in the room, the legitimacy of this confrontation. Some skeptical fans online have questioned whether this was a work shoot, meaning WWE planned it to look spontaneous but it was actually scripted. That's a fair question in today's wrestling landscape where the lines between reality and storyline are constantly blurred. However, based on multiple reports from reliable sources, this appears to have been a genuine unplanned confrontation. The intensity was real, the physicality was real, and WWE's scrambling to control the narrative afterwards suggests this wasn't part of their original plans. That being said, WWE is masterful at turning unexpected situations into storyline gold. So even if this started as a real confrontation, you can bet that Triple H and his creative team are now figuring out the best way to capitalize on it and turn it into must-see television. The reactions from other WWE superstars have been fascinating too. Several wrestlers have posted cryptic messages on social media that seem to reference the confrontation. Some are showing respect for both men's intensity. Others are stirring the pot, adding fuel to the fire. There's a sense among the locker room that something special just happened. These kinds of genuine moments, where real emotion and real physicality collide, are rare in modern wrestling. When they do happen, everyone recognizes that it's something to be celebrated and capitalized on. Veterans in the business have been weighing in too, though obviously without explicit details. Several Hall of Famers have tweeted about respecting intensity and old school mentality. You can read between the lines that they're talking about Lesnar showing a young lion who's really the king of the jungle. For Bronson Reed's career trajectory, this confrontation could actually be the best thing that ever happened to him. Think about it. Wrestling vs. family. Reed is now forever linked with Brock Lesnar in WWE history. Their names will be mentioned together whenever people talk about intense backstage moments. If WWE does book a match between them, Reed is guaranteed the biggest spotlight of his career. Win or lose, being in a program with Brock Lesnar elevates your status immediately. It's the Brock Lesnar effect. Everyone he feuds with becomes more important just by association. And if Reed can deliver in that match, if he can show that he belongs in the ring with one of the all-time greats, his ceiling becomes limitless. This could be the launching pad that transforms Reed from an upper mid-card destroyer into a legitimate main event monster. As for Brock Lesnar, this reminds us all that despite being a part-timer, despite his sporadic appearances, he's still incredibly valuable to WWE. His mere presence creates buzz. His involvement in storylines generates interest. And his matches are guaranteed to deliver. This confrontation also positions Lesnar perfectly for whatever WWE has planned for him next. Whether it's the Reed program or something else entirely, Lesnar has reminded everyone that he's still a top guy who can be slotted into any major storyline at any time. Now, Let's talk about the fan reaction, because wrestling vs. family, you all have been going crazy about this. The comment sections across social media have been absolutely flooded with opinions, reactions, and excitement. Some fans are thrilled that we might finally get Lesnar vs. Reed in an official capacity. They've been fantasy booking this match for months, and seeing these two actually collide, even in a backstage setting, has them pumped beyond belief. Other fans are appreciating the old-school nature of the confrontation. In an era where everything feels scripted and choreographed, having a genuine intense moment feels refreshing. It harkens back to the Attitude Era when backstage brawls felt real and dangerous. There's also a subset of fans who are concerned about Reed's positioning after being dominated in this confrontation. They worry that it makes him look weak or diminishes his monster aura. But honestly, I think most people understand that nobody looks weak for losing a fight to Brock Lesnar. The mainstream media has even picked up on this story. Several sports news outlets have reported on the confrontation, bringing more eyes to WWE. That's exactly the kind of crossover attention that benefits everyone involved and the company as a whole. Wrestling journalists and podcasters have been dissecting every detail, analyzing the implications, and speculating about what comes next. It's become the story in wrestling this week, overshadowing everything else happening in the industry. So where do we go from here? Wrestling vs. family. What should we expect in the coming weeks? Well, keep your eyes glued to Raw and SmackDown because WWE has to address this somehow. Will we see Reed come out demanding a match with Lesnar to prove he's not afraid? Will Lesnar appear to send another message? Will Triple H make an official announcement about these two facing off at a premium live event? We're all waiting with bated breath to find out. One thing's for certain. This confrontation has created incredible momentum for a potential dream match. The organic buzz is there, the fan interest has peaked, and both wrestlers have shown they're willing to go to war. All the pieces are in place for something truly special. What I love about this whole situation is that it feels real. In an age where fans are incredibly smart to the business and can spot worked shoots from a mile away, this confrontation had that genuine intensity that can't be faked. That's what makes great wrestling moments memorable. Alright, wrestling vs. family, that's the complete breakdown of this absolutely insane backstage confrontation between Brock Lesnar and Bronson Reed. What an incredible moment for WWE and for all of us who love this business. Now I want to hear from you. What did you think of Lesnar destroying Reed backstage? Are you excited for a potential match between them? Who do you think would win in an official one-on-one encounter? Do you think this was real or worked? Drop all your thoughts in the comments below. If this video got you as hyped as I am about this confrontation, make sure you smash that like button. Subscribe to Wrestling Verse for all the latest WWE news, updates, and analysis. Hit that notification bell so you never miss any of the action. Share this video with every wrestling fan you know because this is the kind of story that everyone needs to hear about. Let's keep the conversation going across all platforms. Until next time, Wrestling vs. Family, this has been your complete breakdown of one of the most intense backstage moments in recent WWE history. Keep watching, keep supporting, and remember, in WWE, anything can happen at any time. I'll catch you in the next video. Peace.